Hi everyone, and welcome to the 4th edition of Totally Speedway's weekend review. It's Totally Speedway's publisher and editor Daniel Powell. Thank you once again for everyone for tuning in. I'm down here at Blackwattle Bay trying to get out of the wind. It's been near the water. Yeah, it gets quite windy down here, so in terms of reception, so I've managed to find this place where the wind is not as bad. But thanks everyone for tuning in again, it's much appreciated. In terms of last night's action, where do you start? There was plenty of good racing, but there's also some disappointing. Brisbane's Archerfield Speedway got washed out after time trials and the opening round of heat races, so that was unfortunate there. There was rain surrounding the Brisbane area and the Gold Coast throughout the day, and yeah, obviously the rain won on that occasion. But Sydney's Valvoline Raceway, there was certainly a unique situation that happened last night, where the event was actually cancelled due to the track conditions. So there was during the week the track had made a number of changes, particularly to the infield, where they've pushed the barriers right out to the edge of the track to alleviate people cutting the infield. They'd done that during the week, but then there was the track in turns 3 and 4 was atrocious, and drivers refused to race, not fair enough, due to safety. So there was big holes in the track, and yeah, unfortunate. The meeting was cancelled around 5:30, 6 o'clock that afternoon. So it was unfortunate for everyone who had travelled, but it was in the interest of driver safety. There was obviously people that were upset. Teams had travelled a long way throughout New South Wales to come and be told that the meeting wasn't going ahead. So that was disappointing from that point of view. But the fact is, people questioning to say that the show must go on, well, that's ridiculous in terms of when you've seen drivers that have been killed in front of you, and yeah, it's something you don't want to see ever happen again. So if the track conditions weren't up to scratch and drivers weren't happy with them, by all means, for people to say, the show drivers must drive to the conditions. But yeah, there was some holes in turn 3 that were just atrocious and couldn't be happened. But so for people to say that the meeting should have went ahead, that's absolute crap. And yeah, as I said, if you've seen drivers being killed in front of you due to accidents, we never want that to happen again, and the paramount importance is driver safety as opposed to someone's night being ruined as a spectator. So yeah, but in terms of Valvoline Raceway, yeah, it's disappointing, but to be honest, I think they're trying different things. They're trying to alleviate, like obviously after round 1 there was the tractor tyres, and a lot of drivers, Marcus Dumpsney, Chris McInnery, they were all taken out by the tyres. So let's make a change and try and fix it. I would rather them be making these changes and making errors than not doing anything about it, just sitting on their hands like a lot of promoters and go, okay, if you don't like it, sort of thing. So kudos for Valvoline Raceway for trying different things. Yeah, in hindsight's a wonderful thing, and it would have been good if we could, what they've brought in might have been done during the off season, but hey, at least they're trying. I'd rather them be trying than not trying at all and sitting on their hands like some promoters do and go, if you don't like it, like it all, but sort of attitude. So yeah, kudos for Valvoline Raceway for trying. It's disappointing, but hopefully this can be rectified for the next and for the rest of the season, because we don't want to see something like this happen again. It's not good for the sport. The sport struggles as much enough as it is, and having things like this is certainly not a good thing. But it's better than the racing going ahead and there being an accident and a driver being injured and Speedo getting the publicity that it certainly doesn't need or want. So more positive things that we got from last night. Sydney's Valvoline race obviously was cancelled due to track conditions. Brisbane's Archerfield Speedway was rained out after the opening round of heats for the 410 sprint cars, so that was disappointing. But down south in Geelong, in Victoria at Avalon Raceway, there was the opening round of the Eureka Garages and Sheds Series. We had Jamie Veal picked up his first win for the season, so yeah, and Jamie Veal managed to put it on pole position and come away with a win. So yeah, that was something that I predicted, but it's the first of many wins probably for this season if Jamie has his own way. So well done to Jamie with that. In terms of running second, so I just got a young Rusty Hickman. So he's 18. He's out of Bendigo in country Victoria, and he ended up putting in one of the drives of the night to run second. So Rusty certainly, after having last season hampered by a crash which injured his neck, he's certainly come back and started the season strong. He had a really strong run when he ran up in the Chariots of Thunder at Darwin's Northline Speedway in the Northern Territory back in August, but this season he started off on the right foot down south, and to end up second is pretty awesome achievement behind a driver of Jamie Veal's calibre. So third place on the podium was Brett Milburn. So he's a former Eureka Series champion himself. He started the season strongly by completing the podium in third. Sean Dobson, he was fast all night, driving in his second appearance with the David Dixon Motorsport team. He ended up fourth. Tim Hutchins, another Tasmanian, he finished fifth, so he was really happy with that. And there's a lot of good racing on the night. Behind the top five, there was Brad Keller. He ended up second in the B main, but was managed to come from the rear to run sixth. Domain Ramsey, another local, he ended up seventh. Brock Hallett, another guy that came out of the B main, he was eighth. Jai O'Keefe, who made his first racing comeback since being injured midway through last season, so he come back, celebrated the night by winning a heat race. This is his first race back in about 12 months, or pretty close to 12 months. So yeah, he ended up ninth. He had a heat race to win earlier in the night. Mick Salah out of Sydney, getting more laps in regards to preparing for World Series coming up shortly. He ended up 10th. He came through the B main as well. Jake Smith and Jamie Hayen, I think that's how you say it, completed the finishes. So Jamie Hayen, he's a guy that runs on a shoestring budget like a lot of teams, but he picked up his first heat race win, so that was a major confidence boost. Started at a position 9 in the feature and brought it home in 12th. So well done, Jamie, and great to see you pick up your win. We had a number of rookies or comeback drivers coming back. We had Mike Van Brennan. Mike Van Brennan was making his first return in about 3 years. He was driving for the Camden Neon Signs Victoria number 45 J&J that's owned by Dave Challenge, who's previously had guys like Stephen Lyons, Ian the Fly Lewis drive for him. So yeah, Mike came back, done good, stayed out of trouble, didn't set the world on fire, but naturally with more laps he'll get some more race fitness, and he'll be up there and being a front runner, because when he, at the point of his retirement for 15 years prior to that, or when he stepped away from the sport, he was one of the consistent front runners up there with Matthew Reid and all those guys during that period for over the last 10 to 15 years. So yeah, good to see Mike back. It's great to see Dave Challenge back on a more regular basis with the car. The car's come and gone with different drivers over recent years, so it's good to have him back. There was a number of rookies, so we had Reece Baxter out of Wingless Sprints, Grant Stansfield out of Formula 500s, and Carly Walsh out of Wingless as well. All three of them made their sprint car debuts. Reece performed the best out of the rookies. He managed to transfer for the B main via the C main. He ended up 4th in the C main, started from the back of the B and ended up 8th, so that was good for him. Grant Stanfield ran 7th in the B main, and Carly Walsh brought it home in 9th in the C main. So yep, with that sorry, just reading these comments. Yes, Toby, I need a hat so I can cover my bald head. So I'm not even looking at these comments, sort of thing. Please send me one, put it in the mail. I'll DM my thing. It's getting sunny out here. I need some sunnies too. Toby, do you have any merchandise? Oh God, you get me good every time. Okay, so in regard, and then we had other racing, so it was good to see, that Victoria, it's going to be, with that. And Robert Parfitt saying, Michael Pickens running a meeting in Western Australia in the Graham Jones car. So in New South Wales, we had the opening round of the Speed Car Super Series, and that was at Gunnedah Speedway in Northwestern. Sorry, Toby, you get me every time, mate. Gunnedah Speedway in Northwestern New South Wales. we had in the opening round, so that was ran there. That they had a bit of bad luck with some of the rain coming through, but it didn't halt the whole meeting. Canberra's Michael Stewart drew first blood, so he's a youngster coming up through the ranks. He's certainly one of the ones to watch, and he finished in the podium a few minor times. So so Michael Stewart, back to that. All these comments that are coming through. In terms of Michael Stewart. So he'd been running really strongly in recent years, but he picked up his maiden Speed Car Super Series win. So he had, and Travis Mills from Victoria ended up second. So that was really good to see, and good to see the Speed Car Super Series getting some momentum. And then we've got last night they had the Northern Territory Street Stock title that was held at Arunga Park Speedway in Alice Springs, and it was Jason Jewell. So he's a guy that hasn't raced too much. He's usually with a family business running around up and down the east coast and into South Australia too. With the furniture removalist company. So he's doing more miles on the road than on the racetrack in recent years. But he came out last night, put on pole position for the NT title. He actually ran second to Anthony Bear in 2012, and Jason was able to put it all together over 25 laps and come away with a win. So he certainly didn't do it easy with current Australian champion Reece Heinrich certainly keeping honest. Reece started on the front row, led the opening stages before Jason was able to work his way back into the lead and go on and take the win. So that for Jason, that's his maiden state title win. So well done, Jason. I'm sure he'll be giggling all the way. He's a guy that, like, when you chat to Jason, he's just always giggling, sort of thing. You don't, no matter what you say. So with that, so Reece Heinrich ended up second. Third was Peter Thompson, the current New South Wales champion. So Peter Thompson, he's out of Kingaroy in Queensland. He started from position 11 and made his way to finish third, so that was good. Corey Sandown from Victoria, he put in a career best drive to start from position 8 in the final and brought it home fourth. So with that. And then Grant Harris, who's an ex-local, he had a business for many years in the Northern Territory. He's moved back to South Australia a couple of years ago, and he started from position 12 and brought it home in fifth. So we've got here. So it was a great start. The first state title for the SSA sedan classes. So it was good to see that. So I've just got a comment here from a few people. Just trying to read that here without deleting it. Michael Mills, just in regards to Sydney's Valvoline Raceway cancel. I don't think anyone has an issue with the cancel due to safety, but got to the point on late set after the track was not ready. It's been getting worse and worse over the last couple of seasons. Not good enough for one of the best cuts in the country. Probably fair comment, but I'd rather them be trying their best to try and get the show in than not try at all, sort of thing. It's not the best scenario, but they were trying, and I understand they've had their battles, but we've just got to do what you do. But and like some of the comments that I read about people being disappointed about the cancellation sort of thing. So there was people that certainly weren't really concerned too much about the safety. So so that so Michael, thanks for your comment. So and I totally agree. The game's got to be left, but no one's more harder on themselves than they are, and they're trying, and you can't fault people for not trying and trying different things, and it's not ideal, and Speedway's so tough, in terms of getting the track right and all those sort of things, and would you rather them cancel it midweek, and that might have saved a lot of people travelling. They might have been made other plans to go to other tracks, but it is what it is. We can't change what's happened, so with that. So but thanks, Michael, for your comment. Then we've got Goulburn Speedway in the Southern Tablelands of New South Wales. They had their a meeting last Saturday night. It was their 2017-2018 season opener, and that featured an Adam Brand concert, so that was really cool. They had the concert before the meeting, so around 3 o'clock I think, and then got into the racing around 6. So that was really good to see. And when it comes to the racing, the Legend Cars held their New South Wales title, and it was Glenn Mitchell, who's the current Victorian and ACT champion. He ended up picking up the win. Second was Liam Heaton from Canberra. So Liam's, he's certainly no slouch when it comes to racing. He's had a really good start to the season. He dominated in the season opener at Sydney's Valvoline Raceway and ran away, but he ended up second. Jacob Griffin put in another steady performance to complete the podium in third. He ran third in the Victorian title, and backed it up with another podium place in the New South Wales title. So well done there with that. Chris Peterson and Shane Younger ended up fourth and fifth. That was by far their best drives in Legend Cars. So yeah, with that. And then in the wingless sprint, you had Harley Smee. So Harley Smee ended up picking up the win. Troy Carey, the current Northern Territory champion there, was second, and third was Jason Davis. Just off the podium in fourth was Jeff Thomas. Jeff Thomas is making his return to racing this season after having his season brought to a premature end with that. And fifth, Peter Granger, the local, he ended up picking up the win last weekend at Sydney's Valvoline Raceway, and he was that. And so it was a small support like the concert with that, but it was really good that they're trying different things. Sorry, just a loud car there. We've got it's good that the Speedway, like John Dennehy from Legend Cars Australia, put all this together with Adam Brand. I think it's really good for the sport to have a variety. They also earlier in the day had a street parade where the cars were going down the main street of Goulburn, so it's really cool to see and trying different things, and that's what we've got to do in this day and age, and it's really exciting. So no, well done to that, and glad to see that the meeting went off without a hit, and hopefully it was successful for everyone concerned. So well done, keep it up, and other trucks could probably take a leaf out of your book with that. I've got a comment here, Steve May, you need to get a Totally Speedo background board, great raver. Oh, thanks mate. So yeah, with that, that's Steve. That's something that I'm currently working on. So I've got a major sponsor now for one of them, but it's hard. I don't know. I'll see what I can do in terms of the background board. It'll be kind of like I want to do something like what they do with the NRL with the press conferences. So yeah, with that. So Steve, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support, mate. It's appreciated. So Robert Pravin, no ride for Smee this year in a midget. Yeah, I find that hard to believe too. I'm the defending Speed Car Super Series champion. He's won pretty much everything there is to win in Speed Cars here in Australia, but struggling for a ride. But it is what it is. But hopefully Smee can get back into a ride shortly. So it'd be good to see, because I'm like a driver of his calibre shouldn't be on the sidelines. But yeah, so with that, it's getting really. Sorry, just had a little technical glitch there. Toby Balbowen, it's getting really sunny now, so can you express post that hat on DM? Yeah, it'll cover up my bald head too, so it'll probably do better. Alright, so we've got Kingaroy Speedway kicked off their season last night. The Ian Botcher Race Parts supported, that's the major sponsor for that track. And they had their meeting was affected by rain. They got up until all the feature races up until the last one, the Super Sedans, and their feature 4 laps in got cancelled due to the rain coming down. So that made it unable to get. They got 4 laps running, and that was it. So in the classes, modified sedans, Aidan Raymont continued his winning ways. He ended up winning the other week at Gympie, and he picked up another one. Tim Atkin was second, and third was Peter Gray. In the street stocks, local Ash Barron picked up the win. He's one of the hard-working members of the Barron family in regards to the running of Kingaroy Speedway. Travis Hutchinson was second, and Nathan Barbler, the current Central Queensland Street Stock champion, was third. In the production stand, you had Josh Krang, one of the country's fastest drivers, who's yet to post a big result, but he's certainly with that. So he picked up the win in the production sedans. Patrick Brennan was second. He's out of junior sedans, so it's good to see him back behind the wheel. He was second, and Dane Francis was third. In the junior sedans, Artie Jonick continued his winning ways. Second was Casey O'Connell, and third was Jordan Cunningham. Also, Bega's Sapphire Speedway, they kicked off their season last night. So the Bega's Sapphire Speedway, that's on the far south coast of New South Wales, and the compact speed cars headed the program there. And it was Grant LaFlari, I think that's how you say his name. He ended up racing to the win. Rob Rawlings, who made a return after 10 years on the sideline, he was second. And yeah, that was great to see. And then in the super sedans, you had Andrew White, another local. He was he picked up the win in the super sedans there. So, and then we've got one final. Tasmania kicked off their season. Sorry, just going through all my notes here. I certainly need a teleprompter. I need a background thing. So the more support we get for what we do, for what I do with this, the better sort of thing. So it'd be pretty cool to have, yeah, something like a background drop, need a teleprompter. I need a whole film crew. So yeah, I'll organise that now. So Carrick Speedway, so that's Crane Combines Carrick Speedway. They ran last night. There was 8 classes in total, so it was mainly a low key. There's no sprint cars or anything like that, but it was a low key meeting. They ran wingless sprints. It was Luke Redpath, who's the current Tasmanian champion and Australian number 2. He picked up the win, so he got his season off to a great start. It's good to see Luke. He's getting plenty of miles. Last season he only did a handful of racings. I think he raced half a dozen shows, and 2 of them were second in Australian title and winning the Tasmanian title. So yeah, so he ended up winning. Wade Lello put in a great drive to run second. Jeremy Smith, one of the state's most consistent front runners, was third. In the AMCA Nationals, it was Andrew Dewey Ryder. He ended up picking up the win and defeating Daniel Brooks, who's the current defending Tasmanian champion. He's won it for, I think, 3 in a row now. And yeah, so those two battled up the front, but Dewey Ryder was able to get the win. Daniel Brooks was second. Those two will be going over to the mainland very shortly and focusing on the Australian title at Redlines, Ballarat's Redline Raceway in Victoria. So we've got that. And then behind those two was Ray Taylor, and I don't know much about Ray, but he completed the podium in third. So with that, then we've got in the Formula 500s, Jock Goodyear, so the youngster who really impressed last year. He got his season off on to the right foot by taking the win. He's also going to be doing a number of sprint car races too. So it was really good to see Jock get the win first. Dylan Beveridge was second and Gary Sutcliffe was third. Sorry, I'm looking down. I need to hold I need my teleprompter here. They're in the late models, so they're slowly building up momentum now in terms of car counts. I think they had 7 there last night. It was Callum Muir, so he's a guy that's he's ran AMCA Nationals before. He also was one of the only guys to bring down a mod light down in Tasmania when they were trying to start that. So he ended up picking up the win. Nathan Rainbird and Leon Nichols was second and third. Don't know a whole lot about those guys, but those guys completed the podium. In the modified sedans, it was Andy Russell, so he's one of the state's leading modified sedan racers. He ended up winning the feature race. Second was Brad Herbert. Brad Herbert, he's a guy that's come out of junior sedans, went into wingless sprints. He's very competitive in wingless sprints, but has decided to turn his hand to modified sedans. His car looks amazing. It's probably one of the best presented cars this season across any class. It's a bit cool, but yeah, with that, he ended up second, and Nathan Russell, another youngster, was third. So that's Andy Russell's younger brother. So, and then in the street stocks, Dale Riley Jr., who's a guy that's done a lot of travelling onto the mainland. He does that every season. So he drove to victory in the feature race. Nick Anderson and Aaron Bradley was second and third place respectively. Then in the junior sedans, it was Jacob Jetson, who was he was rated inside the top 10 for Totally Speedway's rankings. He ended up winning. Jaden Triffett, I think that's how you say it. Sounds like I got Tourette's or something there. Was second, and Jesse White was third. In the Tassie Sixers, so that's one of the state-based classes, Todd Russell drove to the win. Michael Davey and Jared Frankcombe were second and third. So yeah, so that sums up everything, guys, from last night. It was unfortunate, a few things that happened at some of the tracks, but sometimes they can't be helped. And yeah, looking forward to next weekend already, so we can just move on for this, and hopefully it can be bigger and better next weekend. In terms of what's coming up, we've got the conversations with myself, Daniel Powell. We've got Jamie Oldfield. So, and as I said in the comment, if you don't know who Jamie Oldfield is, you don't know much about Speedo. So he's going to be speaking to us live over the phone. So we're going to be doing that as a phone hookup. So that's going to be starting at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night. So I'm going to be speaking to him for just under an hour. So that will be 5 o'clock Western Australian time. But just remember, guys, to like, comment and share with everything I do. Really appreciate the support and that. Yeah, so Jamie Alford, so that's 8 o'clock New South Wales time for the conversation. So really looking forward to that. It's going to be a big one. Jamie's got obviously having raced a million classes over the years in terms of across with Speedway, for him to take the time for that and speak to us. It's really looking forward, and it's just going to be finding out a bit more about what makes him tick, and a bit more insight with him. Then on Wednesday night, we're going to have the Q&A with myself. So we're doing that. Throw your questions my way. I'm sure there's going to be plenty, especially with the season hotting up. So with that. And then on Friday afternoon, we'll do the weekend preview. So that's it, guys, for today. Thanks once again for tuning in. Please like, comment, share with this. Really appreciate the support. Really enjoying it, and really giving some coverage to the sport that I love. So, all right, guys, I'll see you on Tuesday night for the conversations piece with Jamie Alpha. Thanks, guys. See ya.